is Paige Chauvin. Oh, there she is.
Good evening, Dr. Liddell and school board members. I've been coming before the board and meeting and speaking with many of you one-on-one since 2007, asking for the same thing, to put the well-being of our children first. I've asked that you not put children in the old Milliken building, the new Liddell, where the DART train will be racing through the school backyard several times a day. You didn't listen. I've asked that you not put the boundary line for elementary schools in the middle of a subdivision road, sending the children on the north side to Lakeland and the south side to Creekside. I asked instead you give a plan for the entire street to go to one school or another. Again, you didn't listen. Given my track record, I've stayed behind the scenes of the controversial 910 campus. Tonight I come before you and publicly ask that you once and for all stop the division of LHS students. Since this plan was formed, many things have changed. The number one reason for the split listed on the original task force report was because of student growth. We just couldn't have enough room for all the students coming into LHS. Since then, our economy has tanked, as did our growth. Our once constantly growing numbers have leveled off and in some years even declined. We were told rebuilding LHS was a crazy idea and would never be considered. There would be no place to send the kids during the build, and the current location did not have enough room. But I wake up every morning to the sound of the new construction going on behind my house. I don't mind. I like knowing that we're making a better environment for our children. But a smaller school, I don't understand. We know with the history of Lakeland, Peters Colony, and even LHS that the money approved in a bond election can be reassigned as long as it meets the criteria of the bond. Why are we not using the same money to build a bigger LHS to keep the students united? Through all the changes, one thing has remained constant. The work at the 9th grade center has and is constantly getting better. The dropout rate for our children is falling. In fact, last year, there were less than 70 dropouts in all 5 LISD schools, about 20 in LHS for the one that asked earlier today. Several of those are believed not to even be true dropouts, but rather move-outs. They moved out of the district, but since they were old enough to drop out, we dropped the ball on following them to the new district. Our administration has admitted that. Our test scores have improved. Kilo was an exemplary school last year and received an award tonight. Something many thought that this group of kids could never achieve. The plan to build 9th grade centers just like Kilo has continued for Flower Mound, Marcus, and Hebron. If the plan works and you're copying it for the other schools, why change? Mr. Plunkett is a great principal, and the ideas he has in place will work at the main campus. My request to the board tonight is to go into the workshop meeting on Thursday with an open mind and an open heart as each position is presented and ask yourself, is this the best for our children? Keep that in mind, and I'm certain you will make the right choice for the future fighting farmers of LISD.
Thank you. The next one I have is Susan Arthur.
Tonight I was going to talk about academic issues raised by this split, but I kind of want to start out talking a little bit about Plano and the fact that Plano embraced this 3-campus concept for each high school, while splitting every high school into 9-10 campuses and one 11-12 campus as a district. And I mean, I think if you guys really believe it's a good system for our kids, then I would like to see you commit to doing the same thing for all LISD schools. And I don't think that's likely to happen, so I don't think it's a good idea for us when it's not a good idea for everybody. I also want to comment about statements that were made that it's just a few parents who are upset with this, because I think we've shown that we're not just a few parents. There are a lot of parents, and we've thought about this a lot. We've done a lot of research on it. The Farmer Focus Committee is a great idea. Unfortunately, I wish the committee would have been formed about 5 years ago, and I wish these important decisions that affect our kids would have been made by people who were directly affected by it. Mainly tonight, I'm here to speak about the supposed academic benefits to splitting the school in 3 campuses. I've heard recently that some district personnel have been going to PTA meetings and the like to talk about the supposed benefits of the plan and to answer any questions that Lewisville residents have. And like I said, I think it's really interesting that we care about what Lewisville residents think now when we didn't care 5 years ago and we pretty much got left out of the process altogether. I've heard repeated claims that the 3-campus approach will result in better academic performance. My question is why? You're still going to have the same students, the same teachers, and the same student-teacher ratios. There's no reason why teachers can't get to know those students just as well as they can at a smaller campus. If there's the same number of students, they have the same number of teachers. So I think it's really important to understand that the location of the campuses, 3 campuses split all over town, that's not going to give us smaller learning communities unless you change student-teacher ratios, and nobody's agreed to do that, especially in these tight budgetary times. I've also heard that the 3-campus plan will allow the use of cross-curricular teams for 9th and 10th graders, similar to the concept that's used in middle schools. And I think it was really good in middle schools, but I think if LISD has evidence right now that cross-curricular teaming will help 9th and 10th graders do better, I think we should already have that in place. That is not something that requires you to split our campuses all over town. And I've also heard that the 3 campuses will allow a focus on students in the middle of the class, whereas a big school only focuses on the top and the bottom of the class. And again, I have to ask why. Why is it that way? If we have the right number of teachers and the right administrators in place, we can focus on everybody. And it doesn't make a difference if you split people up into 3 campuses all over town.
Thank you, ma'am. That's it.
Thank you.
Next one I have is Margaret Brand.
Hi, I'd like to represent my daughter, who is busy studying for college courses up at UNT at home tonight. Megan Brown graduated from LHS last year at 16 years, and she did it in 3 years. And she wanted me to state that she did not want this split to occur, mainly because she's an AP student, and she stated that the competition would be much more difficult if she was not with the class that she was competing with. Many times she would hear that so-and-so has already finished studying for an AP test, and it would get her on the ball to start studying. If that person was over on the other campus, these kind of things would not be heard. To see and to meet your competition is of great importance for class standing. Megan was in 13th place with her junior class, but because she had to be combined with the seniors, she was moved to the 18th place. Again, this is an example where she was not with the competition of her class ranking until the very end. I think the importance of being with the same group for class ranking, to see who your competition is, to gain the benefits of being in relationships with them and seeing them in the hallways is very important. Secondly, the busing was quite an issue for even the 9th grade campus right now. And as we can see, there's going to be tennis only at one campus, and there's going to be orchestra at the other campus. My son's going to do both. So I know darn well he's going to be busing back and forth, and the greater distance between north and south means that he will be coming into classrooms more than just 5 minutes late, which is what Megan was experiencing, and the teachers were already starting the lecture, and she was missing out on initial discussions. When he goes from one tennis to orchestra and then back to south, he'll be 10 minutes late, and he already is a special child that I love dearly. Other things was, I've heard that this economic demographic split, well, could result in some economic differences between the 2 sections of town, between south of Fox to north of Fox. So we need to be careful on considering reduction in property taxes when we're already experiencing a $10 million budget deficit. And then I want to consider as an accountant that I can't imagine reduced class teacher-student ratios with an economic budget that we currently have. So I think people ought to be careful. And lastly, I don't think I'm going to see a single teacher come up here that is opposed to this simply because their job would be at risk. And every teacher that I've interviewed has stated that they are opposed. So the few that do come up here...
Thank you, ma'am. Next one I have is Louise Evans. Farouz?
Division of Louisville along Fox and Bend is not only inane and irrational, but no less than detrimental to the interests of those directly affected by the action of the Louisville High School class of 2014. Instead of dividing Louisville along north and south into two separate 9th and 10th campuses each, I propose maintaining the status quo by Kilo Louisville North, which would remain an all 9th grade campus, while Louisville South would become an all sophomore 10th grade campus. If this plan were to be implemented, both campuses are used, ensuring no one person loses their employment. The Louisville High School Fighting Farmers class of 2014 is not separate, and everyone is satisfied. This idea was already an infinitely more common sense decision than the Fox and Bennett division plan. In case of the LHS class of 2015 and beyond, as the current divisional line stands, there will be students in northern sections of Hedrick Middle School region that will be forced to attend north for 2 years during the 9th and 10th grade, with hundreds of others they more than likely never met. While their friends for much of their life will go to south, same will happen to many July middle schoolers who will be separated from those who have known for much of their life and go to south instead of north. Louisville Fighting Farmers mascot was inspired by the farming community that at one point constituted much of the local region in this part of Texas. Even though times have changed and many years have passed since, the fighting farmer community spirit is still as strong as it once was. And further division of Louisville students of the same age will do no less than diminish the community spirit of LHS, which has been strong for the last 114 years. Strong social connections and socialization in general leads to success throughout a lifetime. Wouldn't it be great if one extra year of strengthening friendships and connections in the future led to one of the students that walk in the hallways of your schools to be a future president, or something more modest and increased success in life? If it is in fact absolutely necessary to split the Louisville community, then take into consideration the following proposed course of action. Louisville, the students of LHS 2014 are to remain at United class and attend Louisville, Maine, while all of next year's 8th graders from Durham Middle and Hedrick Middle would attend Louisville South regardless of the Fox and Bennett line, and all the Huffines and Gillette folks would attend Louisville North regardless of the lines before mentioned. The class of 2015 would occupy each of the North and South campuses for 2 years, being the first 10th graders in the building, in the school years between 2012 and 2013, then transition to Maine the junior year. In that plan, the class of 2014 will not be forced to be divided from their friends with whom they've made strong connections with over a year, and the future Louisville students will not find much of a difference as they will not encounter the pain of splitting from their peers. As a member of the class of 2014, I, like 900 others, will be divided from those who have spent a year connecting with. If the current plan stands, which causes me a great deal of concern, friendships are an important part of high school experience, and division from those dear to us leaves us feeling cheated and degrades the quality of life from some of the best years of our life. Louisville High School should not be separated along geographic lines with North and South, but instead by age.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Miss Elias is the next one.
Welcome to the district, Dr. Liddell. I had a long speech planned, but boy, I had to make some points. So I will go ahead and get started. I've never brought this up before, but I too was asked to be on the Farmer Focus Committee 2 years ago. And as the parents started expressing negative attitudes about the dual 910 campus, we were told that we could no longer say anything about anything else except for the proposed plan. And therefore criteria was made for us that said if you did not support this plan, then you were asked to step off of the committee. I had to email that I did not support the plan, so therefore Lewisville ISD practically kicked the parents off of that plan. I don't think there's any parents that were currently on that first Farmer Focus Committee that are still involved. So I hate to bring that up, but the Farmer Focus Committee went into that committee believing that the 910 campus conceived plan was a good idea. Let's talk about Plano. Plano ISD has had the 910 campuses, I think, for 30 years, someone said. I didn't research that, but 30 years, wow. You would think the state of Texas would say, wow, this is a good idea. But in researching the high schools in the state of Texas, there's only one other district that has a 910 campus besides Plano ISD, and that's Carroll ISD. And I can guarantee you, because Carroll ISD has 1.5% of their student body that's economically disadvantaged, that is not the reason that they have their 910 campus. So therefore, out of 1,200 school districts in the state of Texas, only 2 have the 910 campus. Why is that if it's such a great idea? There's only 6 schools that separate their sophomores in the state of Texas. If it's a good idea, why doesn't everybody do it? So why is it a good idea for Lewisville High School? Why is it a good idea that we have kids on one end of the school city and on the other end? I'm going to get to some other points real quick. The bond. If we had separated that bond package for the 910, which really never had the word Lewisville 910 on it, then the voters of Lewisville would have not passed the bond. It did not pass according to the Lewisville voters. Let's see. I hope that you guys can think of something to do with that campus on 3040. It does not belong in Lewisville High School's family. We need our 9th grade campus, which I'm sure sorry.
Thank you, Missy. The next one I have is Patty Schuster.
She left.
She left. Oh, she was the last one. Okay, well, that was the last one. All right, thank you all very much. We're going to be moving on.